Hi, it's the time traveler and my friend with me. I don't know. I think it should be a male. It's a male as a lion, because aging is definitely an equal opportunity experience. So the men are involved with this also. Uh, they, women tend to live a little longer, and I don't know, we put a lot of pressure on men too. You got to remember that. We got to be nice to men. Anyway, I'm still struggling with what I'm doing here, and I just was thinking about it in terms of what is the point here. I feel that I am here at a historic moment in terms of the human species. We have this incredible, I keep saying the American Society on Aging calls it the longevity revolution. And this has never happened before in the history of the human race, where you have all these people of 65 and over that are living so much longer than was ever possible for the vast majority of individuals. So it's a, I guess, a sociological or a demographic revolution, because then the next thing I saw, it is actually very interesting. Basically the seniors we're talking now are the product of the baby boom, the post World War II expansion of the American economy, of the American, free at last, the war is over, celebration, and of course, we were the last people standing. The rest of the world had been flattened. The infrastructure of the rest of the world had been flattened by the war. So we enjoyed this incredible burst of prosperity as we were the engine of the rebuilding of the world after World War II. And the opportunities were endless for everyone. I was thinking of it in terms of the educational system in New York City, where the underclasses were permitted or given the opportunity to rise through education up to college. Like in New York City, you had a whole public education system that ended with a college degree. There were specialized high schools that focused on recruiting talent for the, I don't know, I guess might call it the military industrial complex, which needed the trained technicians to do the job that had to be done. And of course, parallel to that were, the unions with the factories producing cars, and people having a very comfortable, people who work for a living prospered. And people were able to rise in socioeconomic position through education, because there was a generalized recruitment of talent which was needed to populate, to actually carry out this post-war boom. And of course, now what we're looking at is the baby boomer generation aging, and aging, with quite a bit of resources collectively. But the difference now is the baby boomers' lifespan has been extended. So the baby boomers, that's in the terminology, means a boom, a lot of babies. Okay, this huge generation, the baby boomers, which is living much longer than is normally expected for Homo sapiens, is going to be, I saw something with a demographer, I forget his right now, where maybe I'll talk about it again because it was interesting. He is looking at, basically on a worldwide basis, we're not replacing our population. Some countries are even in worse shape than others as regards to, I don't know how many you have to have, have to have a certain number of births per woman to be able to replace a population. And most of the advanced industrial countries are not. There's a huge decline that we're seeing in the population. There's a lot involved here. because as we lose young people, in other words, the generation following the baby boomers is going to be smaller and smaller for at least for a while, and that seems to be the trend. Okay, so you have this gigantic cohort of older people relying on fewer and fewer younger people just at the time when the older people are going to possibly need more assistance, because we've already talked about all of the hazards that are possible as we age. So this is a really incredible time for our society. I'm going to stick right now just to the United States, but actually for the whole world population, we have a huge number of older people that are being in increasing need and at increasing cost, followed by a smaller cohort of younger people who have all of the stressors of making their bones, so to speak, of providing themselves with education and some kind of way of making a living and building the nest, mating and building their nest and raising the offspring. And then in the meantime, there's still the issues and the costs involved with this huge cohort of seniors that are out there. So I just feel that I know people are working on it in many different ways, but I guess what I'm saying is, what is my point here? I just feel the need to alert people, or to help bring out a message to us seniors that we have to behave differently. It's different now, and we know more. But there's, now that we are going to be, I still, even though it's retro, I still enjoy the idea of a high mileage vehicle, because many people have cars, okay? Nowadays, there's no such thing as a high mileage vehicle. They just lease it and get rid of it in 2 or 3 years. But there used to be a time when you had a vehicle and you kept with it. And so our bodies are our high mileage vehicle. And we have to think differently if we're going to have these vehicles on the road for so much longer than originally expected. And the consequence, I see it from an individual basis, because I'm, of course, living it. I see it as someone who is interested in the whole topic, the field of aging, and what is to be expected from aging as we go forward. And but it's like this is a revolution. It's a revolution. It's just like I've been lucky enough to what is it? I saw the transition from radio to television, which was a revolution in communication. Then I moved from the oven to the microwave, which was another, moving, light speed, cell phone. Think of all the different things that have so dramatically changed our world and have changed our perspective, etc. Well, I think that the longevity revolution is one of those things. And if we think that we can get away, well, anybody can do anything they want. That is the bottom line there, okay, I guess. But if we think that just looking at aging in the old way is going to get us where we want to go, we got another thing coming. And so I think the more people who talk about this, who talk about their own options, their own issues, their own triumphs, as we share information with one another to find a way of enjoying and prospering from this wonderful gift of life that we have been given, but knowing that we are high mileage vehicles and we need to take care of that underlying vehicle in such a way. Again, they talk about functional longevity, in other words, that you're able to have a satisfying, enjoyable life for as long as possible. And what are the things that we need to do to make that happen? Because we have to behave differently. Now, aging is a job. So that is your word from the time traveler. Aging is a job. And you don't have to do it. It's okay. But to accept that work needs to be done probably will give you the best possible outcomes. Well, have fun on this exciting path we're on. Bye now.